Yes.
Trip to Los Angeles, and I opted to fly out of Dulles because they had the most convenient direct flights. And 2 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning, driving from Dulles back to my home in Prince George's County was a very telling experience as I passed a number of very large private sector businesses along the Dulles Toll Road. And knowing what we know about many of those businesses, the names are sort of common household, Fortune 50, but the work that they do and the clients that they serve are the federal government. 50% or more of the business is derived for those specific locations from the federal government, 50% or more, some 100%. And even those that are not directly serving the federal government, like NVR, they're building houses for people predominantly who are government contractors or work for the federal government. When we look at both the 15 metro stations and the Envision study, we see that there's a huge opportunity for Prince George's County to capture more federal agencies. And I would argue while HHS is great, we probably need 4 or 5 federal agencies headquartered in Prince George's County. And fortunately enough, we have the ability to deliver on that if they're truly transit oriented. Point being is that there's this huge shift happening now where the federal government is literally shifting to the west. And we need to bring that balance back to shifting to the east. Otherwise, we're not only will we see Prince George's employees driving further and further out, they may finally get to the point where it's too far to drive, I'll just move further out. So we all understand that there's a need to get more federal agencies, particularly at our metro stations. Many, many years ago, I was blessed to work for a company called the Oliver Car Company, and I was the 3rd person on a 3-person team that was successful in developing a site in Alexandria where we were successful in capturing the federal courthouse, the patent trademark office. And that was my first opportunity to see a real glimpse into the real world of what it means to capture federal agencies. And that was further underpinned 10 years later when I had a chance to work as a consultant to Ken Kimbrough, who was the former public building commissioner, who's the senior most person in GSA's real estate group. When I look at Prince George's versus our peers, there's a piece that's significantly missing. And interesting enough, it's a piece that only the county executive can fill. Just as we saw our former county executive Wayne Curry involved intimately in the move of Redskins Stadium FedEx Field to Prince George's County, just as we saw County Executive Johnson intimately involved in some of the key players who moved into National Harbor, such as Disney. The next county executive has to be intimately involved. And the reason for that is quite simple. When GSA has to make a decision of do we pick a location in Northern Virginia, do we pick a location in Montgomery County, do we pick a location, they've already heard from the congressional delegation about why they should move to Fairfax, why they should move to Loudon, why they should move to Montgomery. They're not hearing from the congressional delegation on why they should move to Prince George's. And when you ask the congressional delegation, why aren't you lobbying for Prince George's, they say, well, we haven't really heard anything from the county executive's office. You can't delegate it to your business development, you can't delegate it to your economic development, you can't even delegate it to your number 2 person in the county administration. The county executive is singularly responsible. And if we're truly going to go from vision to implementation, then the next county executive has to stand up and say, I understand I need to be the chief cheerleader for Prince George's County on this issue. And I'm just curious as to how you feel about that.
Great question. Let me first start by saying that I'm going to be my own chief executive officer. 1. I'm a hands-on person. Not that I'm going to run the government by myself. That's not going to happen. One of the things that we have to begin to do, and one of the things that Wayne Curry did, was Wayne Curry said, wait a minute, we're going to stop you all from building, townhouses and things of this nature. What we want to begin to do is to build executive housing. Okay? Because once you build executive housing, you begin to attract executives. And I've worked for the federal government, understand the process. GSA locate agencies based upon the influence of the heads of the agency. Amen. And what we have to begin to do is also get some of those individuals that are heading up these agencies to live in Prince George's County. But more importantly, we have to begin to have dialogue with our elected official. We should never have a problem getting a GSA tenant here in Prince George's County because we have Steny Hoyer sitting there. Okay? We should never have a problem. We have Barbara McCloskey. Okay? So therefore, we have to begin to have relationships with our federal partners as well as relationship with our state. There's a disconnect. And therefore, as a result of this disconnect, we're not always on the same page. And we have to begin to get on the same page. And so what has to occur is that, as I said, there's three areas trying to get HHS. They're all competing against each other. But as a county executive, what you want is for HHS to come to Prince George's County, regardless of where the site is, as long as it's in Prince George's County. And so therefore, that's what we have to begin to articulate. We have to be out there in front doing it. We have to also have a very, 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 and I use three varies, powerful economic development corporation that understand how to go out there and mix it up. We have to be on the forefront. The interesting things about Prince George's County, all the other counties within the region have basically built out. We're the only ones with land. Montgomery County is now taking the shopping center on 355 and going to take that down and build a town center because they don't have land. They're creative. One of the issues that we have to begin to do is to educate our community, because there are some people who believe that they still live in the suburb, and this area is becoming urbanized. And we have to understand that urbanization is coming to Prince George's County, and so therefore when you move into a house and you see trees and then all of a sudden next week you don't see them, and then you're upset because someone owns this land and decide I want to sell it and build something. We have to begin to let citizens understand that this is how we're going to progress. You can't ask for service and you don't want to have development occur. That's how we're going to do it. Now, we have to be very committed. We have to bring you all to the table because we have to work in tandem to make sure that businesses, when you all go out, you need to tell folks, Prince George's County is the greatest place in the world to do business. We have to begin to streamline the process that we have at Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. People get frustrated and throw up their hands and leave. We have to make sure that that's a streamlined process. We have to give incentives to those companies that we want to come. And I'm not bad-mouthing Walmart, but you know, we have to have more than just Walmart here in Prince George's County. What people tell me, and I become very upset about it, is that Prince George's County is a middle-class, blue-collar community. I don't believe that. I think that we're just as important as Washington, D.C., as Virginia, Northern Virginia. We have to begin to redo our established communities. Those are communities abut Prince George's County, to make sure we begin to build those areas. So I will be a hands-on, understand what needs to occur, and begin to go out and be the cheerleader for Prince George's County. I've been here a long time. I've seen the transition. This is home for me, and this is a place that I love. I will not be moving, and I will not be going any place. So therefore, I will do all in my power to make sure that we become the place that we all moved here for.